Welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday season, unless you're watching this in the summer, in which case I made this 6 months ago or years ago. Who knows? Anywho, I've been watching on YouTube a lot lately. I think it's Blackthorn Productions, Blackthorn Prod. It's a YouTube channel. And one of the things they've been doing a lot on their channel is they get more than one dev and they like work 4 hours in a game and then they pass it along. I thought that was really cool. I thought it'd be fun to do that in the Playmaker community as well. But the Playmaker community is a lot smaller. I only know of like 2 or 3 other Playmaker streamers. So what I thought I would do is I would put together a project and then make it available publicly on GitHub. This will do a lot of different things. One, it'll have a nice place for the community to kind of work on something together if they want to. 2, it's going to be a nice resource for those starting out or those looking for new ideas to see how to maybe set up a Playmaker project, how to organize logic, or just see how others are doing it. And then the other thing is maybe you haven't really messed with GitHub or worked on a team before, and this might be a great chance for you to get your hands dirty on that. Also, I'm going to apologize right now because I have the webcam connected to my computer, but I'm not using a separate keyboard. So anytime I touch my computer, the webcam is going to shake. So I apologize for that. I noticed that in my last video. I'll try to keep the shaking down. All right, so this is just a simple, I just have the very basics of like a Space Invaders style game. So you can see the little guy moves at the bottom, and you can shoot out the little Playmaker logos by either tapping on the mouse or hitting the spacebar. Well, spacebar is not working for some reason. Spacebar, it works in the editor, but for some reason not in build. That's weird. I don't know what's with that one that every now and then goes sideways. But how can you get on board with this project and play with it? Let's hop on over to the GitHub page. It's github.com/MrPhilipJoel/Playmaker-invaders. All right. One thing to note is that you need to have Playmaker installed on your machine in order for you to be able to use this project. And if you are going to contribute to this project, don't use any paid assets. They all need to be free assets or assets you've created yourself. But be mindful if there's something you've created and you put it in this project, others are going to have access to it. Because as you can see, it's a public GitHub page. So right here on the main page, we have all the assets. So if you've never used GitHub before, when you get into a repository, if it's public, you can come over here and you can clone it using a link. I encourage you to use GitHub Desktop. That's what I always do. If you download GitHub Desktop, it makes it real easy to interact with GitHub. And I actually did a quick Google on what's the best way to make your repo publicly available for other people to contribute to. And so the best way I found, basically GitHub puts it in their own documentation, is if you want to contribute to a repo, make a fork of it first, and then you can create a branch in your fork. And then when you're ready to merge it to the main project, you do a pull request. Let's see if I can find that GitHub documentation real quick. All right, so here we go. I'll try to remember to put this URL in the description. But this is how you contribute to projects. I'm going to go ahead and click on desktop, and it talks to you about forking a repository. It walks you right through how to do it. And what forking does is it basically takes the the main repo and it basically copies it into your own GitHub identically. But it also encourages you that if you make that fork, to in your fork also create a branch, but that's after you then clone the fork. Basically what cloning means is downloading it, and it works best, I have found, unless you're very familiar with like command line and stuff. GitHub Desktop, it's great. If you have it already installed in your computer, if you go in and I can't fork it because this is my own repo. So it looks just as simple as from the repo, just click fork up here. All right, I just opened an incognito window to do that. So you just click fork on the page and follow the forking. After you fork it, clone it. You can either clone it from your repo page, and there's probably a link there that tells you to target GitHub Desktop, and then it'll open it up. Or just inside GitHub Desktop, just make sure that you're signed in, and it'll let you go up to File, Clone Repository, and you can pull down any of your repos that are associated with your account. All right, and just follow this article. So once you've made a change, what you'll do is you will make a pull request. And since I am currently the only owner of the project, I'll be notified of the pull request, and then I will attempt to merge your changes into the project. One good tip that I can give you is after you fork it, create a branch like this article says. And then if you're going to be making changes, maybe duplicate the main scene and maybe identify it in some way. Definitely put some notes whenever you publish, put in the pull request about what I should be looking for to do the merge. But if you duplicate the main scene, it makes it a lot easier because then I can just go ahead and bring your scene in and then drag and drop your FSMs or new game objects. Also working with prefabs, it's a whole lot easier to merge in projects. If you're just changing art, that's real easy to merge in as well. Yeah, so I'm anxious to see what everybody does with this. But before we stop, let's go actually take a look at it. It's really very bare bones. I've tried to organize the scene a little bit. I'm just using a scene, sample scene. We have our brains, we have our environment, we have the player, and then we have pools. So the brains is what the logic is. I stole this from somebody that I'm working with on another project. This is how they organize everything, and I dug it. It works. He has reasons for putting brackets. Sometimes he'll put double brackets. Sometimes he'll put single brackets. I don't remember how he did it, but I just thought brackets make it stand out as a header. So the sequencer, what this FSM does is it makes it to where it's easier to keep track of all your variables. It's kind of overkill in some situations, but it's really nice if you need variables in other FSMs, is you can use this FSM to set those variables. Because a lot of times multiple FSMs need to share the same variables. And if you have the sequencer take care of that, then what you can do is you can either change it here in the inspector if you have it as an input or output variable, or you can just change it in here on the variables tab. So that's all this is doing. The sequencer is it's just setting some variables that are needed for the other FSMs. With the player controller, that basically just translates the little triangle at the bottom. The player is here. If you wanted to come in and change the sprites, feel free. And then we have our event system. We're using the new input system. So if we wanted to, we can make this work on desktop, mobile, VR, using controllers, whatever we want. I'm actually hoping that a lot of people get involved with this because it looks pretty decent. I want to do a video on how you can convert a 2D project into a VR project. There's just some different ideas out there I have on how you can take your current 2D project and put it in VR. And it's still going to be mostly flat, but you can still make it kind of a fun experience in VR. So I have some fun ideas for that. Then we have our bullet pool manager. So if you don't know what a pool is a great way for you to recycle the same assets that you're using a lot. Most of the times that's like bullets. So anytime you create an object, it's a heavy resource hit. But if you're just hiding them when you're not using them, it's a lot less resource intensive. So I have a pool of, I think, 15 bullets. And here's the actual pool section. We have our bullet pool, and then we have our invaders pool. So I have all the invaders organized into rows. And so what happens when you hit an invader is it's actually not getting even deactivated. If it gets hit, it just removes its collider and it makes itself invisible. And so it's a lot less resource intensive because we could potentially have a lot of the invaders just disappear really fast. All right, so I hope this excites some people to get in and work with a bunch of others. It's very low pressure. You can go in, just do a little bit. If you feel like just adding some music, some sound effects, some art, don't worry, this is not going to be sold anywhere. It's going to be public. Who knows what this will go and change into. But please, only Playmaker users be utilizing this. That's the whole point of this project, is there's not a lot of public repos out there for Playmaker users. There might not be any. This is the first one I know of. But if you know of other Playmaker repos out there that are games that are just open and publicly available for people to go in and fork and do pull requests, then please put that in the comments. We'd love to see those, and we'll take a look at those maybe in some future episodes. Otherwise, I hope you all jump in on this and take a look at Playmaker Invaders, and let's see what we can do with this. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.